Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. We're taking a look here again at Solana, seeing what's going on. We had two hypothetical situations playing out yesterday, testing that resistance level, essentially a double top that could have pulled back. Obviously that didn't because Bitcoin had another agenda, and we broke through that key level resistance at roughly 178/180, and now we're attempting to consolidate just above that level for the next leg up. Now, the probability of the price going up from here is lower, just based on the simple sentiment that majority of the market has pumped already. Bitcoin's soon to stabilize, I hope. And then, of course, pulling back from there, see what's going on. Take a look at this. This is, absolute nonsense here. Bitcoin is massively overextended, just keeps on going. Okay, so there's no real rhyme or reason, mostly just the euphoric people trying to get in, this whole FOMO thing going on. So just be careful kind of falling victim to that. I do feel like the market right now is overinflated and we're due for a correction, but again, this could just be getting started too. There's a lot of different schools of thought. Either way you look at it, we're going to take that emotional bias out of the equation here and kind of just think logically. While we didn't get the price to pull back exactly to this lower level 171, we got a nice bounce off 172. So effectively worked out in this continuation. And the original idea, of course, is for rejection off 185. So at this point, now that we are trending closer to 185, we can presume that'll be the new resistance, just based on that being a macro resistance level. So if you're not familiar as to where I got that number from, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attempts to break through 185 back in July, and it didn't happen. Okay, so just know that's gonna work as a resistance the first time it's tested. Of course, you could say the same thing for Bitcoin, where it should have rejected at a 70K, but it just continued to blast straight through. So while it's relevant and these numbers are important, no, it's really hard to anticipate, the emotional, euphoric stuff we're seeing right now. So just be very, very careful. I would say be very careful taking shorts for the moment. But again, we're hitting that critical state where Bitcoin has to pull back at some point for at least a small correction. And a lot of altcoins are massively overextended, and they're due to pull back. So there's that as well. I just think that right now, at this exact moment, it's not ideal to consider shorts. And it's funny too, I think on my SCI analysis yesterday, I said, don't take any longs. Everything is extremely bearish. The price action is not going to go any further up. Price just hasn't looked back yet. So it goes to show that massive overextensions, there is that natural capitulation, but the charts really are just telling us it's not worth taking a trade. So I'd much rather avoid the risk of a bad trade than to FOMO into a trade that's probably not going to go anywhere. So what I'm getting at here is that we're due to pull back, but in the same accord, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep running just based on the simple sense of how the market's moving right now. Okay, it's got this very illogical movement and pattern / behavior. Speaking of illogical, we can see we had such a massive inflow of liquidation that there's essentially a gap on the charts. So this happens sometimes. Nothing to really worry about now, but the truth is that little continuation there, a lot of times that goes back to get filled. These are like CME gaps basically, or fair value gaps, which essentially for the most part was already taken care of. Regardless of that fact, that's nothing you need to worry about. The important thing here is to recognize that we are overextended on our delta here. We have way too many longs in the market with no real shorts. So this does imply that the price should pull back soon if that is maintained for too long, okay? Because again, you can only stretch yourself out so thin until you break or you have to rest, right? Trading is the same thing. When coins go insane, they have to capitulate, they have to pull back. There's an inevitability there. And we're on the edge of that, I would say. Because 185 is a pretty strong resistance. I don't think we're going to break through that immediately. Okay, it'll take a few attempts to break that, is just my personal thoughts. Open interest is closer to 170, so that's standard. Basically just implies a lot of longs at that level, which also tells us that would be a good take profit area or target if the price action ends up pulling back, or a good consideration for a long in the low 170s. All right, so take a look at Solana daily time frame. Let's just quickly recognize here, first of all, we're above every single moving average. Solana's been bullish for a while. This has been the narrative we've talked about for 2 or 3 weeks, honestly. Ever since we've broken bullish above that 200-day SMA on the daily, we've been above 50 on the RSI for quite some time, ever since October 10th. That's roughly 3 weeks worth of trading. There's no reason to consider shorting this coin from a macro perspective. Not to say you can't still find success. In fact, we have a Solana short position open right now because we took that double top yesterday that effectively became invalidated, right? So at this point, depending on how Bitcoin behaves, we need to, understand, do we want to close that trade and open it long, or do we want to keep it open? My personal thought here is, even though the macro is still really good, it's still really strong, it's the same consensus for most coins, Bitcoin has to have that capitulation, that natural pullback, and I do think that Solana has a propensity to pull back with it. At least it has. In other words, we take a look at this coin and we compare it with Bitcoin. Take a look there. Solana, anytime Bitcoin pulls back or corrects itself, Solana goes sideways and then up. It's not going straight up with it. So that leads me to believe we're going to see a pullback here soon for Solana, and it might just be a small pullback, but if so, we can get out of our position. I think we're averaging the 177, 178 range. Either way you look at it here at this point, it's not super crazy. Try not to get too out of control, but with Solana, we can see we're trying to push to that 185. So the 4-hour time frame. All this being said, we're above every moving average. We're still very bullish. Still don't recommend considering a short. I know it sounds hypocritical if you're part of our community, but that trade was taken yesterday when everything was extremely bearish for altcoins. Now that momentum has shifted, and it may be a good consideration to possibly close those trades, but it really depends on how Bitcoin performs. It's running towards that 73K range, and it's pretty scary in a lot of ways, depending on where you're at. Take a look here, of course, we can see everything is overextended, getting close to overextended. We're getting close to that 70 on the RSI. Usually you see a resistance there. So again, that kind of speaks to the 185 being a likely resistance range for us. But no matter how you look at it, 4-hour time frame, still very bullish. You're going to see this common narrative on most coins right now. There's no real reason to consider a short position. If you do take a long, just watch it close, because we could see a pullback with that natural correction. Hourly time frame is reflecting the same exact thing here. Ichimoku Cloud lets us know that we have no consideration for a short, and that everything here is looking truly bullish. So you are going to find a larger statistical probability of success going up than down, but keep in mind 185 is probably going to work as a resistance. So if you do insist on shorting, 185 would be a sensible place. You just got to make sure you watch it close and not be, this short to zero kind of folk. 185 to possibly the mid to low 170s, but even still, I don't know if that's even probable at this point, now that we've broken soundly above 178, okay? So that's just kind of where we're at there. Either way, it's good, no matter how you look at it. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow if you haven't already. Make sure you take advantage of this exclusive deposit bonus for BitUnix before the month is over. Heads up, anytime you use my link to register, you'll be automatically eligible for any future bonus. We have a new competition coming up in the month of November. So awesome stuff there. Anyways, check them out. There's no KYC or VPN required. They are great. Thanks again so much for watching, folks. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.